We have Arham here, and who recently on 31st of July scored a 750. His verbal score is outstanding, 44. Quant score, pretty acceptable and decent. And we'll like to just talk to him. So, Arham, just wanted to have your chronological experience, and then I'll discuss, some challenges and mocks and real tests. But generally, the chronological order of study, everything that you did.
Yes, sure. So first of all, yeah, thank you for taking the time to have a chat with me. So I joined top in February when I actually started my preparation. I joined in the March batch, and while of course I had some problems with regards to timing because I was working also during the week, so sometimes my pre-work was a bit lacking when I joined class and such. So by the time I finished my course with you and certain classes which I missed, I saw the recordings. It was around mid-May, so it took me around 2.5 months just to get through the basic course. And
Right.
my feeling during that point was a bit that okay, I am learning, but I don't know how strong I am at any of these concepts really. Because during the class, I personally wasn't very vocal, and that was a shortcoming on my end. So I always thought that other people are, learning more or getting that understanding much better. But so what Anushri suggested me that I should just give a cold mock. Just after a pure revision, just go ahead and give a cold mock and see where you're standing. And that's when I actually realized that I actually have a very good grasp it. So my first cold mock before any 700, 800, any of that touching, I got a 740. And that's when I
Okay.
realized, well, okay, maybe the octave or the rules which we've gotten, they are actually putting into effect, even if I'm not that confident at this stage in my prep.
Right, right.
Uh, so I would suggest everyone to give a cold mark once the prep is done because you can analyze very clearly where your shortcomings are. For me, it was quite clear because in my mock, my verbal was all my mistakes. I had 9 mistakes, all of them were SC. So it was pretty clear where I was lacking.
Okay.
Uh, and in quant also there were certain areas which I had to work on. So from that point onwards, so one thing I'll mention to everyone, which a lot of people have asked me after I got the score, was that did you study from anywhere else? I absolutely did not study from anywhere else. I didn't open a single GMAT club or a single any GMAT questions or any other questions. I studied purely from 700, 800 guide. I trusted it 100%, and I kept an error log of that. And I could get back and realize that okay, my RC is completely fine. I'm getting this accuracy, 90 plus accuracy in 700, 800, and I'm feeling comfortable with that. CR is the same. SC I'm lacking, including 700, 800 questions also. So I took some guidance in that. Um, as well as in quant, a good analysis which I got from one of the videos was that focus on the DS. If you're missing out on the DS question, that means the concept is not as strong. So what I did is I kept an error log specifically for DS and analyzed where all I'm going wrong and focusing on those, going back to the concepts in those particular problems, such as probability or geometry. Um, so once I had that, I gave my first attempt. I gave two attempts in total. One I gave in the start of July, one I gave in the end of July, because I had work also in between. So I couldn't really give it back to back. So I would say that my prep was more or less even in both. I focused on SC more in my second attempt. However, one thing I want to mention is the nerves which get you. I think the difference in my score. So first time I got a 730, the second time I got a 750. Um, the difference I would say is purely nerves. I think the first 15 to 20 minutes of my exam, which I started with verbal, 15 to 20 minutes I wasn't at optimal rate, and I think that's where I lagged in my attempt. And my verbal score was down for that reason. My first attempt. In my second attempt was much more comfortable and understandable of what the situation was. So I would say that is something you can try to simulate. I tried to simulate a lot with top 1% mocks also before my first attempt. However, that is something which came over me in my first attempt.
Right.
So just don't go in with a nervous mindset. What happens happens. Essentially it's a 2 hour long exam. So for those 2 hours, if I second time I was just able to focus in, zero in on what I had to do, and timing and all wasn't an issue. I had 10 minutes left in my verbal attempt in the second time, and that I attributed essentially to the top 1% mocks. That I think is a very key factor which everyone should give. I gave around 15 marks for verbal, 15 marks for quant. So that I didn't have a problem with.
Right.
So that was my experience with proper understanding. Yeah.
All right. Another thing, was there anything unusual apart from the anxiety that you had first time? Any unusual content on the exam that though this time a question I've never seen or something like that?
Absolutely not. And I was a bit worried about conditional reasoning because that was a newer part, and you had also taken classes for the same. I didn't experience. I think there was one question across two GMAT attempts which I for conditional reasoning. There wasn't a lot of conditional reasoning, and in terms of content, it was fairly straightforward and
Right.
nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. So, Aram, now you on the other side, what are the mistakes people can avoid and what are the things that they must do? What would you say? Let's say 2 or 3 things you should do or shouldn't do. I generally ask because this could be more like a summary for anybody new trying to prepare. So think about it and let me know, please.
Okay.
Should I
Things
ask the
to
question again? Okay, to do.
No,
Okay.
I understand. So,
Yeah.
with regards to what you should do, it is
Mhm.
more with regards to don't try to eat from too many plates because I had a couple of friends who were also studying for GMAT, and I think they try to pick up content from a lot of different sites and a lot of different tutors, and that just doesn't work for them. So, if you're studying from say top 1% or wherever you're studying from, if you're studying from top 1%, just put your faith in them. And I put my faith in them, and I think I got rewarded. Secondly, is time practice. None of the practice which I did once I finished the course was without a timer. Everything was, if I was doing 6 questions for RC, that was 40 minutes, and and so on and so forth. So everything should be timed. And thirdly, would be just focus on the difficult questions essentially. So don't start from the easy, medium, and hard. I focused just on the hard, and then that made me realize what the lackings in my concepts were. Because what I realized in the 700, 800 questions is they focus a lot. If you have concept clarity, you can finish a 700, 800 question in 30 seconds if you have good concept clarity. So it doesn't
Right.
require a lot of hard work. So those are the do's. The don'ts are the don'ts would be to say try to be consistent. I think I stretched my GMAT by about a month, like my 750 score by about a month because I wasn't very consistent. Maybe that must be work. I wasn't very consistent. I didn't want to come back home and then study for another 3 hours. So that was a lacking on my end, and a lot of people focus on that in their experiences also. So being consistent, if you're able to do that, I think you can get this done quite quickly because the methods which are there in place with respect to Octave or with respect to the rules in SC, if you just be consistent with them, they just become part and parcel of when you're giving your exam and your questions.
Okay. And what were your quant scores like usually? I mean, were you missing the 50-51 usually? Because your eventual score, had it been 50, you would have got a 770. So
Yeah,
just 50-44.
yeah,
So just asking.
yeah. So that's one thing which still aches me. My first attempt, I got a 50 in quant, and my second attempt, I got
Oh,
a 59. What happened with quant is that I got stuck. So that's another don't during the exam. Don't get stuck on questions. Try as Sir says, understand to give up. I didn't give up on a couple of questions in the middle of quant, and I didn't have time to give attempt 2 questions completely at the end.
okay, okay. So otherwise, competence was not a problem. Preparedness was not a
Yes,
problem.
it was
Just the
purely time.
execution.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. And are you applying? Obviously, you are pretty. I think you just finished 1 year ago, right? Your undergrad.
yeah.
So you'll wait it out probably 1 year or 2 years and then apply, I guess.
Yeah, I think the only course I'm thinking of applying is ISB early entry, but I'm
Right.
thinking now that I have a score which is competitive, I want to wait out 1 or 2 years and apply to a M7
Mhm.
school and build my profile
Perfect.
up till then.
That works perfectly. And I really hope that whenever you apply, really do consult with us. We will really want to help at every level. Build the profile. If you need any guidance at this stage as to how you can really enhance some of the profile building elements, talk to my admissions team. Complete watching the entire Know the World series whenever you get the time because
Yeah,
that'll really stand you in good stead. And all the very best. Do keep in touch. Very good job overall. Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you.
Right, right. Bye.